Week 4 of the NFL season is already underway after a game on Thursday night. It's quite an interesting slate of games on Sunday with the Jets playing on Sunday Night Football. The Giants, they play on Monday night. So let's check out the best bets for Week 4, another edition of Hitting the Books with my guy, the sports betting analyst for the New York Post. That would be Erich Richter, who joins me now. Erich, how's your weekend going, man?
Doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Ready for these football games on Sunday. So we're going to start off with the local teams, Erich, and we're going to start with the Jets. They are hosting the Chiefs Sunday night. Gangrene, they're 8.5-point underdogs with an over-under currently at 41.5. Now, look, there's been a lot of noise surrounding the Jets and their struggling offense with Zach Wilson right now. So do you like them as a home dog, or is there another play for you here?
Joe Namath has had enough of Zach Wilson. I think everybody's had enough of Zach Wilson in the NFL. Yeah, he's probably playing his way out of the league here. 8.5, it actually is kind of enticing. 8.5 on the Chiefs here. But the real number for me is 41.5, and that's the over/under for tonight, for Sunday night's game, rather. Been running models on this one since yesterday, and the model predictions have this one at 45. They expect the Chiefs to win by 9, so it would be right there on the spread. The spread's pretty much dead on here, but I'm actually going to go with the over 41.5. I think that Chiefs offense is obviously one of the best in the league. Zach Wilson's been so bad, it's almost impossible to be worse. So he's not going to get pulled in this game, I would expect. They're going to give Trevor Siemian some time to learn the offense, and I actually think Zach Wilson would go over his 79.5 passing yards as well. So I'm going to go over 41.5 for the Sunday night game, and Taylor Swift's going to like to see some touchdowns.
All right. See, I can't even do a football segment anymore without somebody mentioning Taylor Swift. It just has to. Steve Serby did it the other day. Now we have Erich Richter.
Man.
Had to do it. Had to do it. You guys are all Swifties. All right. Yep. Moving on to the Giants. They're also playing at MetLife Stadium this week, but they're playing on Monday Night Football. The Seahawks are coming to town. Seattle is a 1-point road favorite here. Now, there's no word yet on whether or not Big Blue running back Saquon Barkley will return from his ankle injury to play in this one. And, Erich, this is basically a pick'em game. So who are you putting your money on in this matchup?
So this is like the new thing in Vegas, right? It's the 1-point spreads, and then it flips around, right? And then the Giants will be +1 by Monday once Barkley is ruled inactive, which I expect him not to play. This one's really fishy, right? Because with the advanced analytics, if you're down 2 touchdowns, you go for 2 after you score the first one, then you're down 6, you kick the field goal. Now it's 1. It's a very, very fishy line. It's a tough one to bet. For me, I'm going to go to a prop here. I'm going to go with Kenneth Walker over rushing yards. The Giants are 29th in DVOA on defense. Their defense has been awful. They're one of the worst tackling teams in the NFL. Pro Football Focus has them ranked one of the worst tackling teams in the NFL. So for me, it's going to be a Kenneth Walker game. He's been awesome. He has at least 15 carries in each game this season. Scored 2 touchdowns last week. I expect the Seattle Seahawks, Kenneth Walker affair on Monday, and I don't know. I don't think the Giants are going to win, to be honest with you, but I'm definitely not betting them as a favorite.
All right, now back in the Giants going with that Kenneth Walker prop there. That's an interesting one. Now, got to move on to what is clearly the game of the week, the matchup between the Dolphins and the Bills. Buffalo, 3-point favorites at home in this one, Erich. And the odds makers, they expect this one to be a high-scoring affair because the over-under right now is at 53.5. Now, here's the thing for me. Miami, they've looked very strong offensively thus far. A lot of people are going to be riding on that. Are you backing them as road underdogs in this matchup?
I mean, it's kind of hard not to, right? Their offense has been so legit. The hard thing here, and it's very easy to get excited because they just won by 50 points against Denver. But you got to remember that they almost lost to the Patriots. Kind of should have maybe lost to the Patriots in week 1 there. So, the Dolphins aren't this like juggernaut of a team. And I think that's important to know. For me, I'm looking at the over 53.5. I got props on Diggs over 80.5 receiving yards. I think this is going to be a shootout. I think over 6.5 receptions on Tyreek Hill. My best bet of the entire game is Josh Allen over 1.5 passing touchdowns. That's minus 140 on FanDuel. I'd say those three. You're really looking at Diggs, big game, Tyreek Hill, big game, and Josh Allen over 1.5 passing touchdowns. You could probably same game parlay that as well. But that's the play for me. I think it's going to be a shootout. It's going to be a fun game, and I'm really excited.
All right, we'll see. Vegas has this being a shootout. Like I said, 53.5 for that over-under. Interesting one there. Hopefully, I think fans who love the touchdowns are going to want to see a lot of touchdowns in that game. Okay, Eric, last thing. I know you have your weekly best bets out each week. You see it on New York Post in the paper, nypost.com as well. And this week, you told me you're eyeing the Vikings and the Panthers matchup as well as the Jaguars and the Falcons. What are your best bets for those two games?
So, I think both of these are interesting lines here. You got the Vikings at 4.5 in Carolina. Bryce Young has been the worst quarterback in the NFL up until this point, according to Pro Football Focus. The Vikings are second in yards per play. They're averaging over 8 yards per play, where the Panthers are last in yards per play. It's a total mismatch. The Vikings have 8 turnovers inside the 25, and I wrote about this in the paper. Vikings minus 4.5 all day long. Honestly, if Kirk Cousins just doesn't throw picks, and they had a couple fumbles there, especially in the first week, this game should be a rout. I don't understand how the Panthers could stick with that Viking offense. So give me the Vikings minus 4.5. They will flip over to Jacksonville. I mean, it's in London, right? It's got the Sunday morning game, but Jacksonville minus 3 is my best bet of the entire weekend. It's the second biggest quarterback deficiency mismatch, second biggest quarterback mismatch in the NFL. Desmond Ritter versus Trevor Lawrence. Excuse me. That's just a massive mismatch. Here's an interesting stat. Third down, the Jaguars are last, have the least amount of yards per third down. And they have the most drops on third down. So I think there's been a little bit unlucky. I'll take the Jaguars minus 3 for sure there.
All right, going with the Jags, going with the Vikes is your best bets to cover on the spread in those matchups. That is Erich Richter, sports betting analyst for the New York Post. Always doing a great job on hitting the books, giving you the best bets for the NFL each week. Eric, thank you for the time. Appreciate it. Enjoy the games.
I'm excited, Dex. Thanks, man.